I feel like this week's episode of the podcast is the epitome of plans are subject to change because we talked about last week. Oh, we're gonna talk about the Villainous Atoma game, and then things happened.
Things happened.
And other things happened, which actually was a benefit, sort of here, but things happened.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a discussion about that because hello, welcome to this week's episode of Season Lamb Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc, Al, and Lady.
Hello.
This is episode 371, and we got things to talk about. We are going to talk about the Sony State of Play that happened this past week. Gonna talk all about Hideo Kojima, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, we gotta talk about something that has I guess not weirdly, because of just the absurdity of it.
It's so absurd.
But the strangeness that this has kind of become a big game story and like escaped our bubble, essentially.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it had escaped our bubble.
Yeah. I mean, this tweet has 10 million views.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that has definitely escaped our bubble.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about the fiasco, or as I'd like to call it, what the is happening with Love Live School Idol Festival 2?
That's that's a solid question, my friend.
Oh boy. So yeah, last week I was, just minding my own business, looking on the Twitter, and saw, oh hey, SIF2 is going under maintenance, the Japanese version, of course. The global version they'd still been leading things up to the launch, which I kind of thought we were getting close to it because they had been doing this countdown of, like, here's the first UR card of each individual girl,
character.
and then here's like a message from them, essentially, and we are in the Muse section of that by now, so like I was assuming we were getting close to launch. They just hadn't, set a date yet.
Right.
But yeah, last week, last Wednesday night, I would think this was, I saw SIF2 go under maintenance, and I was like, okay, that's normal mobile games in general go under maintenance, whatever. I was like, oh, they're probably adding something funky to that game. Sure, whatever. And then like an hour or two later, a big message on the Japanese account goes up being like, hey,
Hey, friends.
hey friends, we're shutting the game down.
It's dead.
And I was just like, what? Excuse me? Because this game has not been out a year in Japan yet.
No.
Didn't even make it to its first year anniversary compared to School Idol Festival 1, which was out for like almost a decade and everything. So that was a wild thing to do. And then about an hour or two after that, maybe, less time, whatever, the global version tweets out. Global launch notice. We are excited to break the news to you that the global version of Love Live School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live is launching soon in February 2024, which we had already known. Apparently that game might be out by the time you are listening to this, or may not be. Who knows? We will maybe know in like an hour and a half.
May or may not. I mean, it's a
Question
show,
mark.
So who can say?
They have not said one way or the other. Like, again, they do not have put a date on this here.
No. The store originally said February 29th, I think.
Yeah, and then it just,
and now it's the
today
first.
it's switched. Or today as we're recording, it's switched to the first. Of course, the caveat to this post is this. However, we also want to inform you that the global version will close its doors on May 31st, 2024, and cease in-app purchases accordingly. We appreciate the love and support you've shown, and we're committed to making these last few months an unforgettable moment.
One of the top tweets for a very long time was, I've never seen a game announce its release and its closure like in a single tweet or something like that. I forget exactly
Which is
how it was
true.
worded. It's true. Like, that is bizarre. Can you imagine having to be that social media intern?
I know, like, the global team has gotten a lot of flack for this. I do not blame them in the slightest, because I feel like
No, it's not their fault.
They 1000% got blindsided by this because they had just been, like, prepping up for the launch and everything, and then they get hit with this, and, like, what are they going to do? Like, contractually, they have to put this game out.
Right.
And then these are people who are going to be losing their jobs after this.
Yep.
So it's a huge mess for them that they have to try and like fan the
It
flames of
sucks.
a lot of people coming at them and be like, why are you putting the game out? It's like, well, they kind of have to.
They have to.
They don't have a choice here.
Yeah.
So like I feel terrible for the global team in that regard because like they
1,000%.
clearly did not have any prep for this or anything. It was like they
Nope.
found out when we found out probably, or like
Yep.
very early, a little bit earlier than that most likely. But yeah, it's a huge mess. Which I guess this leads us into why this game is shutting down after less than a year of being in operation.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we got to go back to the fact that they shut down Original School Idol Festival after nearly a decade of being in
Mm-hmm.
service.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think was necessarily a bad idea because I think in order to keep that game going, you probably would have eventually had to do a lot of just system changes to
Overhauling.
it, overhauling to it. And that game is an old game,
Right.
so the amount of work they probably would have had to do to keep that game up, and just like the uptick for it would have been a lot. And I
Mm-hmm.
think going in and making a new game was probably a smart idea. Um, of course, the idea that they shut down Original School Idol Festival and then eventually they shut down All Stars just to funnel people into this game in particular is where
Mm-hmm.
things start getting murky at best because you have not played School Idol Festival 2 yet.
Nope.
Eventually, I mean, by the time this comes out, you probably will have.
Right.
Um, I have played School Idol Festival 2.
Right. You have. You played the Japanese
Yeah.
version.
I mean, I will say, if you want to just look at this from a gameplay perspective only, it is School Idol Festival, and that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
However,
However,
there's a lot of things surrounding the game that are lacking, that are missing features from Original School Idol Festival, and are just some really weird and baffling decisions that they made. So, like, Original School Idol Festival had, obviously tiers of cards. You'd have the rarity tiers. You'd have
mm-hmm.
normal, rare, super rare, SSR, and then UR.
Mm-hmm.
SIF2 does not have that.
What?
You have rares, you have SRs, and then you have URs, and that's it.
What?
None of the end girls are in here. None of those are here. You do not get stories for your cards if you max them out.
What?
There's no story really in this game.
What?
So
Then
there's
what
like
is this game doing?
so essentially like there's like they do these little like video sequences which I think are cute. Like they're nicely drawn and everything, and I think they're kind of fun to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically about it. And then the other stuff is like you get like these little like group chat exchanges.
Oh, right. I remember the group chats.
And that's the extent of the story you get in this game, which is like Original School Idol Festival had its own broken out story for both Muse and Aqua
Mm-hmm.
that went very long and lengthy. All of the events had stories for the most part. Like some of them were just kind of like, I play the game.
Right.
But they'd have stories. All the cards had stories, like little
Mm-hmm.
miniature little character stories that you get. And those character stories were fun because like you got to see different sides of these characters. You got to see them interact with different characters in general that they wouldn't have interacted with in the series themselves. And we talked about this when we did our ode to original SIF. Be like, you got these different character pairings that meshed really well together, like the Yohane and Kanan pairing.
Mm-hmm.
That we really enjoyed, and like that was something that you never saw in the original series and anything like that. So like that was something that's really cool, and like
And now we have super cute art of that pairing
mhm.
together, which made me so happy. Anyway,
And none of
sorry.
that's in here.
That's weird.
And like I guess as well, like I saw this going around as well that like the lack of cards in general, because like if you're cutting down tiers of like you're missing two other tiers, and like there's not a whole lot of like other ways to get cards, like people aren't going to whale in this game
No.
because essentially the way the game works is that like they're only releasing like two UR cards per girl, and this game has all four big groups in it. It has Muse, Aqua, Nijigasaki, and Liella,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a ton of gals here. So if you're only releasing two cards per big new UR draw, like you just save your gems up, and then you're probably going to be fine to do some polls. Like you're not going to be
Right.
spending heap loads of money just to get all your polls and everything in the same way
That's
that you
so
might have in like the other games. So like
what a weird choice.
business wise, it seemed like a very weird and not great decisions in that aspect. And also, like, just the events themselves weren't that great. At least, like, the early ones I played. I don't know if they added... I don't think they really added anything new. I know, like, they might have added, like, one more, but also, like, it's a game that was in its first year of development. Like, obviously, you would expect, like, oh, they're going to add more and more as the time progresses, but then that's not a thing that's going to happen.
Nope, not now.
No, so it's just... It's a lot of weird and baffling choices with this game, especially because, like I said, this was supposed to be the funnel in from SIF and All Stars, which were two very games that people liked. Had a lot of story in them, had a lot of ways you could spend money on them if you wanted to, and then you get to this and it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Mistakes.
Yeah, big mistakes. It's such a weird thing, especially because, like, if you hear from people who are in the series proper, like the actresses themselves, a lot of them have talked about how, like, hey, this game got me into this series. Like, if you go read my interview with three of the gals from Love Live, Aika Kobayashi says in that School Idol Festival is what got me into Love Live. And now it's gone. Like, I don't think this is going to be a thing where, like, oh, School Idol Festival 3 is coming soon.
Right.
I think if they're shutting it down this early, they're done for a while, or for good.
Yeah, I mean that breakup with Caleb really changed things, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
I was salty when they shut down School Idol Festival 1 and All Stars. I'm not sure I'm ever going to recover from being salty on that.
Which, especially if, like, you're going to shut both those games down and then you get this and then you're going to shut it down immediately. Like, what was the point?
Yeah. Nope. Not cool, man.
So yeah, now that this is going to be gone in a couple of months, like, the only way you can play a Love Live rhythm game is if you somehow have you've imported the Vita versions of those Muse games, or you can play the free-to-play console game, which is bad and has very egregious DLC pricing, so that's not a great...
Right, you want to pay hundreds of dollars for the songs?
That's not great. I mean, they have, like, they're putting out those Yohane games, of course. Like, they put out the Metroidvania, the card games coming out soon, which is fine, everything, but, like, those aren't...
But they're not the rhythm games.
They're not rhythm games, which is unfortunate. So yeah, if you want your Love Live fix, you got to play a not great free-to-play console game, some very old Japanese rhythm games for the Vita. You could play the Yohane games, which is a different thing entirely, or go play Grand Blue Fantasy and play the Love Live stories in that.
Are there rhythm games in that?
No, it's just like they just have the characters show up and it's just
you just get to
story.
hang out with them.
Yeah, shockingly, there's story in that.
What?
But yeah, it's
no way, no story.
What a mess.
It's a show. I mean, like, this is basically like a lesson in, hey, don't do this. But, like, who's gonna learn from it? I don't know. I don't know if they're actually going to learn anything from this, or if this is just, they're... I don't know. I'm just mad. I'm just mad.
Yeah. I think if this wasn't anything where, like, they announced it and then announced they're shutting down, this wouldn't have blown up in the way that it has.
Right.
Like, if it was just like, hey, this is what's happening, and they had announced it, like, in one tweet and then in another tweet a couple weeks later, it probably would not have been as big as it has. But just the absurdity of being like, coming out, by the way, it's shutting down.
Yeah. And I mean, like, again, not the global team's fault at all.
No.
Do not blame them. I mean, they've been getting hell on Twitter in those comments. But I mean, like, the fact that they are even going to be, like, allowing people to make purchases is kind of shady, but
it's,
like,
not good. Like, you're not implementing any sort of goodwill in that aspect. But again, they probably have to. Like, this is not a thing where, like, they can't just be like, oh, we're not going to charge you money for this. Like, no, Bushiroad's going to be like, no, we're going to get our cut from this.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting to see. Like, I mean, obviously we won't see, but, like, how much money are they really going to make on this game?
Yeah. I mean, who's going to spend the money? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll spend my money on I don't know, nothing. I don't spend money on mobile games now because I would throw money here and there at like School at a Festival and All Stars. Because I'm like, I get a lot of enjoyment out of this and I value the game, and so I'm gonna give you 5 doll hairs. But like I don't do that anymore because I'm like, well, those games are dead and things are not permanent, and I have nothing now. So no money.
I think as well it's gonna be interesting to
And like
see
they're
how.
absolutely not getting money.
Yeah, I think as well it's gonna be interesting to see how they if they try and implement like all of the content from the Japanese version into this, or they just don't. Like, is how is this going to launch? Is this going to launch as it did in Japan, where it's just going to have that song list, or are we going to have the songs that have released in the time since then? Like, is the
Right.
Yohane songs going to be in there? Any of the new songs that have been released from all the other groups, are they going to be in here? Like, how is that going to work? Like, they haven't said one way or the other about that, so I don't know. I probably would say it's not going to be that, but who's to say? I guess we'll say in a couple hours maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah,
I
what
mean
a
it's so weird, and I mean I wonder what happened with the Japanese version that like this is happening. But I mean
wasn't
the
making
only thing
money.
that
I think that's the thing.
yeah, I mean if you're limiting the whales, then
And I
that
think
I
as well,
mean
like
it's over for you.
even on the Japanese tweet, there was people being like, "Why did you shut down SIF for this?"
Yeah.
Like SIF was in a good place. It was fine. It was working all right. Like, why did you shut it down just to do this? What was the point?
Yeah, and I mean like you said, I feel like they could have updated School Idol Festival for sure. Like it'd been running for a decade, so whatever, update it, do some fun things, incorporate some stuff from All Stars that was working. I don't know, but like to shut it down and then like within a year, like it's shutting down. That's nope. That's so shady.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. No, this is. You know what else is not good? Hitting your mom.
That's in reference to the Game Boy, the cat, not like no one here is actually punching their biological mother. Just to
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah. I guess that is worth clarifying
Just to
because
clarify.
I'm so used to just talking to you that I was just like, don't do that. But then I didn't even think about the fact that could be misinterpreted. But yes, my cat Game Boy is hitting me because he wants attention.
Because of course he does.
Of course he
He's
does. He
also
wants
mad
attention.
that he's like, "Ma'am, why are they shutting down the School Idol Festival already? I haven't gotten to play it."
I haven't gotten to play it, ma'am.
Ma'am.
It makes you less stressed out to play those games. Why aren't they letting you have those games? Ma'am,
Ma'am.
I'm gonna hit you now.
But yeah, this is a mess.
It's such a show.
And I feel like we needed to put some clarity into there because like obviously like this escaping our bubble made it so like more people were seeing it, and I feel like there was a lot of
Mhm.
kind of like half truths when people were talking about it, or at least just people not understanding the context of what was exactly happened here. So I feel like if there's anyone who could provide context for all of this, it is your friends at the SAC OVA who are experts in this field. So
Yeah, yeah. And, we are both sad. And, I guess we'll get to play it maybe for what, 3 months?
March, April, May, about almost 4 months because it ends in the end of May. So
Well, that's assuming that it comes out today or
true,
tomorrow.
true, true. That's correct. But yeah,
Um, so yeah, there's that. There's that. Maybe I'll be less stressed out for
a couple of months.
a couple months, but then I'll also be stressed out because I'm like, the game's ending.
Oh boy.
Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible. Just give me cute songs and cute cards and fun stories. That's all I really wanted. And I'm just salty and mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I also said this to you, and I'll just say it before we wrap up and go to a different topic. Um, I don't know the Love Live songs as well anymore, like the new ones that they've been releasing.
Yeah.
I just don't know them as well now because I was listening to them all from All Stars and School Idol Festival. So I was like, oh, this is the new song. I really like it. I'm gonna download that. Um, Now I'm like, oh, okay. There's apparently a vote for outfits for the Niji gals. Oh, there's an album out. What? I haven't heard any of this. This is weird. Like
It's harder to
it
keep
was
up.
it is harder to keep up, and it makes so much more sense for them to like use it as a tool to have people know what's going on with the music, and that's a business decision because people spend money on music.
Well, apparently you gotta do business in a way that will make money, and this was not the way to make money.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine just like following the model of School Idol Festival and then just updating School Idol Festival.
Too difficult. We gotta pivot to something new.
Speaking of pivoting something new.
Speaking of pivoting to something new, speaking of things that make you angry,
Oh no, yes, angry.
Sony's State of Play happened Wednesday,
Yes.
where they talked about video games. I
They
know, it's
talked
very
about some
shocking.
video games that are coming out.
Yes. Stuff coming out later this year, stuff coming out next year, stuff coming out. Uh,
Mm,
uh.
mm.
So yeah, let's dive into the Sony State of Play for January.
January, the end of
Yes, the
January.
very end of January. They started off with Helldivers 2, which I thought was already out, but apparently it's coming out on February the 8th, which will be in a couple days from now.
Oh, okay.
There was a mech. I saw a mech. That's about all I remember.
I legit don't remember anything about this.
After that, they showed off more of Stellar Blade. This got a release date, I think, sometime in the first half of 2024.
April.
This game looked generic.
It looked so generic.
It looked like a PS2 game that would have come out to like mediocre scores, and then 20 years later, people would be like, it would be like a cult classic.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. And I have a lot of friends that are excited about it, and I feel like, that they would be excited if it were a cult classic type situation. But um it looks so
It
generic.
looks like someone like saw Near Automata
Mm-hmm.
and was just like, what if we just do that, but
Yeah,
like with
yeah.
less of the panaz that Yoko Taro was able to make.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Just everything
And Boo
about it
Armor.
just seemed very generic.
Yeah, like the character designs weren't great. The combat didn't look great. I don't know, just it
That leads here is
nothing
too
about it.
long.
Yeah, nothing
How you
about
gonna
it
watch
excited
that?
me. How are you gonna watch that? You're gonna have to like have several bottles of shampoo like Sephiroth.
It's true. Just ask him for some advice.
Can you not throw bubbles on the floor?
He loves to throw bubbles on the floor. I think as well. It also like it had a look of like a free to play game. I think that's kind of also the
It
thing
it
that
did.
really like threw me for a loop.
It looked like a microtransaction type of
But
game.
you're gonna pay $70 for this, so
Like I appreciate that you're getting more Korean studios like making games. That's
mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like I would maybe play this at like I was gonna say $10, but honestly I would play this if it came like free as a
Yeah,
PlayStation
the
game.
PS Plus game.
Yes, that's basically like when I would play this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
It just didn't do it for me.
nah, same. Well, how about Sonic? You heard of this guy?
I have once or twice heard about Sonic. I actually tweeted about Sonic this
You
morning,
did. That's
so
true. You threw this. You basically willed this
I
into
willed it. I
existence.
willed it to existence by talking about Sonic CD.
Well, how do you feel like Sonic Generations?
How do I feel about Shadow?
Well, I mean the game Sonic Generations.
Do I even remember Sonic
It was like a
Generations?
360 game, I think. Like that era.
That makes sense.
But yeah, this is a remaster remake of that, but also there's a new Shadow campaign in it.
Does
He's
it have a
here.
gun?
I don't remember a gun in the trailer, so.
I don't either. I was just making jokes.
Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, so you can get all your Sonic generations worth of Sonic and Shadow fan fiction for you.
Oh God, no. Please do not look for that on the internet.
Do not.
Please do not look for that on the internet.
I believe that is a fall 2024 release, which would make sense because that's usually when the Sonic games comes out.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they showed off a announcement that Zen Lost Zone Zero is coming to the PS5 in late 2024. This is the new Hoyoverse game. You know, the people who make Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, and then that Otome game and the other Honkai game. I think this is
Wait,
more
what a Tome game.
Tears of
Famous. Okay.
yeah, that. I think this is more action oriented and all that sort of stuff. This has been in development for a long time, so
It's been a while.
it's been a while. But yeah, this is coming, I think, to phones pretty soon, and then it'll come to PS5 later on.
Yeah, we didn't really get any information on when.
Foam Stars is coming out next week. It's gonna be on PS Plus, so you can get that. I played the beta of this game or whatever that open trial, whatever they had a couple months back. I played with a friend of mine, and like, but we played like a couple of games, and we were just both like, eh.
You didn't tell me you played that before. You told me earlier, but you didn't tell me when you were doing it.
It obviously they're trying to invoke Splatoon.
Yes,
that's how you say that.
Very, very obviously trying to evoke Splatoon,
but it's just not as fun.
Also, there's AI art.
Yeah, that also doesn't help it. But yeah, it's obviously I think putting it out for free is gonna help this game, but also like charging $30 for this game as well is not gonna help it after the fact. Nope. So yeah, there's that. Dave the Diver is coming to PlayStation, which I did not know it was not on PlayStation.
I didn't either. I thought it was.
I was like, oh yeah, this is on PlayStation, of course.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
I could have sworn it was.
But it's coming to the PlayStation family of systems, and also Godzilla is coming, which is a wild crossover.
It's such a weird crossover.
I heard the Godzilla music, and then I thought there's a wrestler who used to come out and use the Godzilla intro as the intro, and it would transition into Jay-Z's "The Champ Is Here," or is that LL Cool J? One of the two. So that's why I was expecting that to drop, and then I was like, wait, this is just the Godzilla theme.
This is the Godzilla theme. It was wild though. I wasn't expecting that. Like, how does that work with Dave the Diver? How do you Godzilla?
It's real wild.
Are you diving for Godzilla?
I hope
Is Godzilla diving for you?
I hope you die for Godzilla.
I hope so too, honestly.
V Rising is coming to the PlayStation 5 in 2024. This apparently came out on the PC in 2022. It is an isometric action RPG where you're like a vampire, I think. That would make sense for V. For vampire.
I'm gonna be so real with you right now.
You didn't remember anything about this, did you?
I didn't. I forgot that this even existed until you said the name.
There you go.
And I literally watched this today.
Well, now it's time to get into the Silent Hill block.
Woo!
Silent Hill: The Short Message is a new Silent Hill game. It is a first-person, free-to-play game.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Silent Hill for the Room.
Woo!
Yeah. I will be curious to see how people react to this compared to the last free Silent Hill game that came out.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. So yeah, that is available now. And then they showed off a trailer for Silent Hill 2, the remake of that, which
that's just Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. You know, when I hear people talk about Silent Hill 2, they always talk about, you know, the intense combat in that game and how you're always just shooting up monsters and bashing them with your pipe and everything, and it's like, man, I love the combat in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
That's not what anyone says.
Nope, nobody says that. Because combat is not the focus in Silent Hill 2. And it never has been.
So that doesn't seem good.
No, it's just like, hey, we heard you like Resident Evil 4. Would you like a Silent Hill 2 flavored Resident Evil 4? So I'm a little bit put off by that.
Also, like they showed
Resident Evil 4 is good, but
yeah, 100%. Though they showed the main dude, I think, at a couple points, and like he just looked,
James?
yeah, he just looked real off.
Yeah, James does not look good. And if I remember correctly, like they can't have his original voice actor back because isn't he a shithead?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure he's a shithead.
I could look it up real quick if my
Please look
computer
it up.
will cooperate.
Cooperate, computer.
Silent Hill 2 is a survival game. Did you know that? It's from 2001.
Well, apparently now it's an
Developed
action
by Team
game.
Silent.
I'm
Do
silent.
do 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 do. Silent Hill
Do 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 do
characters.
do. James.
Oh, apparently he's gonna. No, is that in the HD collection or is that in the remake? I don't know. Apparently he got revoiced as by Troy Baker at one point.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't know Troy Baker took over for anybody when it came to Silent Hill.
I think it was for like the HD version or whatever. So that's that. Apparently he's right. The original dudes are right wingers, so that's why.
Yep. Gross.
There would be one. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 comes out sometime.
Yeah, they didn't give a date, but it's an action game now. Woo!
Woo! And then we get the next game from Ken Levine. Judas, Judas. Norman Reedus, and he's getting drinks poured on him.
Oh no!
He's shirtless.
Oh no!
Wait,
he's in a hot
that's
tub.
coming in later. Yeah, this is he's just making another BioShock game essentially.
Yeah,
It's a first-person shooter. You'd have powers on your left hand.
It has like that art style.
Mm-hmm. I was telling
Which
you
is
this,
BioShock.
but it was very funny because like when BioShock Infinite came out, he was lamenting the fact that he had to make it a first-person shooter. He's like, oh, I want to tell this story, but the only way I can do it is through first-person shooter because that's how we've made these games before, and that sucks. And then a decade later, he's back and he's making the same kind of game. It's just like, what do you? All right, whatever.
I mean, after Infinite, I lost basically any respect for the man. So
Have fun with your centrism.
yeah, both sides are bad.
Judas, Judas.
I mean, that song's good.
That's
so.
that, yeah. After that, they shut off Metro Awakening. It is a VR version of the Metro series. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we got the greatest game to see here, Legendary Tales for the PlayStation VR 2.
You want to see a skeleton get punched?
I mean, parts of that looked funny in terms of just like you just beating up skeletons and like hitting them with like the wrong side of a sword.
I thought it was hilarious looking. I mean, like that, I would punch a skeleton.
And then it just has the most generic title to ever exist in video games.
It's so generic.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's coming to VR 2.
Yay.
Dragon's Dogma 2 got a trailer that's coming out very soon. You want to hop on a dragon and punch it or stab it a lot. All that sort of stuff. The dragons and the dogmas.
It's got dragon and dogs and moss.
Live Moss. That's what they're saying.
Moss.
We got an extended look at Rise of the Ronin, the new Team Ninja game. This looks a lot like, hey, what if we mixed Neo with Assassin's Creed and a little Sekiro?
Whoa.
I thought it looked pretty okay. Like I think period pieces are, fun. Like going back in time to this era of Japan seems neat. The traversal seems pretty fun, like having like a grappling hook essentially, and you can glider and then just jump onto a horse immediately. Like all that stuff seems neat. The combat seems very much in the line of like Neo and that sort of stuff. So pretty much kind of like what they've been doing. So that makes a whole lot of sense. I think this game's out pretty soon as well. Maybe I don't remember, but it looked interesting. So there's that.
I would watch you play it, but I wouldn't play it.
They announced a PS5 PC version of Until Dawn.
I don't understand why they're doing this.
Get monked. Well, they could put it on other systems. It wasn't on PC before.
Okay.
And then you could sell a PS5 version of it because this game came out like a decade ago. So.
Yeah,
But you could also just play the PS4 version and be fine.
Right. Like it looked fine.
Get monked. all the cast of characters are going to be here. Who's all in this game? Of course. I like Until Dawn. This is the game Supermassive made before they would go on to do the Dark Pictures anthology. And it's basically like the first of it's the baseline Dark Pictures anthology where like it's a choose your own adventure horror game, and this is like a teen slasher version of that. So like, it's fun. It's really interesting. Of course, you got Rami Malek, Hayden Panettiere in this, starring, and then Peter Stormare is the dude. He's basically the dumpy man in this game.
Oh, he's the dumpy
Yeah,
man.
but he's just
Ah,
Peter
I see.
Stormare, just like chewing it up, and
Oh
it's
my
real
God.
good.
I know one thing about this game, and that's it.
Yeah, I like this game. It's good. So I'm glad that like they're putting it out elsewhere, especially for PC people.
Hmm.
Um, so more people could play it.
Are we gonna play it?
We've talked about playing it at some point.
Yeah.
So eventually
But
we
I mean,
will.
we probably don't have to get the upgraded
No,
version.
I own a copy of this game, so
So we're good. We're
unless they do like an upgrade path for it at some point, which I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to with the way they're kind of talking about this, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then we head into our final bits of the state of play. We get to see the latest trailer and a whole bunch of stuff from Death Stranding 2.
Yep.
Subtitle On the Beach. Norman Reedus is here and he's shirtless.
And blue.
They're pouring liquid on him.
It's just Judas.
Judas. Oh, he's not going to have a motorcycle show to hawk at us this time, though.
No.
It's a real bummer.
Terrible.
Yeah, this definitely had some stuff in it. Fragile's here. She's got a weird mask that has hands holding over it. George Miller's with her. There's a cat. The baby is allegedly dead. Question mark.
Dead.
Troy Baker's character is back, and now he has like a V for Vendetta mask, but under that is the Joker makeup, and then he plays a guitar.
But the guitar is also like a sword.
And then like a ninja shows up. It's just like, are you just making Metal Gear Solid 2 again, my dude?
I mean, you would like it if they just made Metal Gear
I
Solid
mean,
2
you're not
again.
wrong. Are we gonna play as Norman or as Sam Bridges for like a little bit of this game, and then switch to a completely new character for the last half of this game?
With their butt out.
Yeah. They're making Death Stranding again, or he's making Death Stranding again. Like I said, him and his team.
Yeah.
You're gonna be delivering stuff. You're delivering stuff, I think, in Mexico or something. That's what they said.
That baby barfed up a ship, but it also had emo makeup.
Barfed up nano machines.
Yeah, it did. Blech.
I saw roads, and I'm like, oh heck yeah, let's build some roads.
Oh my God.
They didn't show a whole lot of like new stuff. Like they showed some new vehicles, like a tricycle type thing, and then like another like car thing. I thought like the thing they showed with like the like kind of like flooding coming at you and like destroying stuff you put in the world was interesting from a gameplay perspective. It's probably gonna be annoying when you deal with it, but like I thought that looked really interesting. I don't know what's happening with the story. I will figure that out at some point.
Maybe.
Norman Reedus will not be able to act. We know that much.
I mean, that man has like one facial expression and can maybe, I don't know, like emote two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
it's
that.
usually plain or maybe slightly angry.
Yeah. There's that weird puppet.
Yeah. Okay. So that puppet was making me motion sick.
That's wild.
I don't know.
Was it just because the way he was like animated?
Yeah, because it was just like so jumpy and
Mhm.
like strange looking. Which I figure he's gonna be like our I say our as if I'm actually gonna play this game. I'm not gonna play this game, but he's gonna be like the little sidekick with the little quirky statements and stuff. Because Norman Reedus put him in his butt and he's like, Norman, why'd you put me in the butt? Why'd you do that? But
He'll be like
yeah,
Die Hard Man in the first game where he'll just like chirp at you randomly.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey, you could go do this now type deal probably.
But yeah, just the jumpiness of him, and it's like they tried to do like a stop motion,
Yeah.
but like you can't really do a stop motion in the game.
It's
And
hard
so
to
it
do for
just,
sure.
yeah, it just looked jumpy and weird, and I felt like I was gonna barf while I was
Yeah.
watching him. And I don't really get motion sick that easy.
It's this and
But
Spider-Man 2.
okay, yeah, fair.
Uh,
But again, if you think about it, it's the same effect though. It was
no,
like
yeah, that
the
makes
weird
sense.
like jumpiness of
Hmm.
it that made me sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Some interesting questions to be asked of this game. This game's coming out in 2025, by the way. Um, yeah. Elle Fanning's character had puppet strings on her when she was spying on Fragile and George Miller and Norman Reedus.
Had no strings told me down.
So yeah, that I will play this game.
I know you
I
will.
will build some roads.
I know you will. You will listen to Norman Reedus have what emotion?
Of course, of course. And then after that, Hideo Kojima came out. He joined Herman
Big puffy
Holst,
jacket.
and he had his big puffy vest. He looked like he was ready for going to go like into a winter mountain. He was bundled up, and he was going to be warm.
Why was his collar so popped?
I don't know.
That man had like Unarakami collar going
It's really
on.
wild. They announced a new game from Hideo Kojima, codenamed or titled for now Fizzant,
Isn't.
which is a new Hideo Kojima game in the action espionage genre.
Mm-hmm.
He is described as the culmination of all of his work in the games industry for 40 years, and is also going to
Wow.
be both a game and a movie because they announced this at Columbia Pictures.
Mm-hmm. It was such a weird shot to like for Columbia Pictures.
Which makes his attire all the more confusing because it's like it's warm out.
It's warm. What are you doing? And the whole thing was so funny because it's like, I've been trying to convince him to make this game for a while. We're friends, and I wanted him to make one of these. It's like, come on, come on. You don't gotta play these games with us.
I think the
We know
idea of
what you're doing.
him returning to the genre is interesting because like how does he make something that's not Metal Gear?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the most interesting thing about this and like what he does different, especially to set it
Hmm.
apart from his previous games in this
Right.
genre.
Right.
Because obviously he's going to know that like anything he does in this genre is going to just point back to that. So
Correct.
how does he do it differently? I think it's the key thing here. And also I think it's interesting that he's announcing this, you know, what a half year after the fact that Konami was like, "Hey, we're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3."
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it would not surprise me given him, but like I feel like half of this is just him like I want to make a new game in this genre, and also half of it is I am very petty.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems likely.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he has definitely talked about like his love of movies and everything, and wanting to do stuff like that, and obviously his games have very much kind of tried to encompass that sort of deal before, but we'll see what it means when he's saying he's combining both mediums in this way. Is this going to be kind of like Quantum Break or something of that nature, or what? So we shall see.
We shall
And
see.
then they announced another state of play next week for Final Fantasy VII
Final
Rebirth,
Fantasy.
which I probably won't watch because that game's out soon. So like, why bother?
Yeah. When does it come out?
The end of the month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's no reason to watch it then. I'll just play the damn game.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the state of
Eventually,
play.
after I play everything else that
Yeah,
I'm
no
drowning
kidding.
in.
No kidding.
But the year the segue has started, and the year the segue will continue in Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the state of play. They showed some stuff.
It's just some video games. School Idol Festival 2 is coming out and then not.
Sure is. Sure is. But
Yay!
yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonallamycheckup.com or sec.cool where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, Pac-Man on Amazon.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at seasonallamycheckup.com. Any sports on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole lot of bonus content as well. We'll have a February Patreon exclusive podcast at some point in the month. We just haven't, obviously, this is the first episode of February. We'll it'll probably be about the middle of February, I would assume, is when we'll do it, drop it. That's usually, I think that's kind of what we're going to shoot for. But yeah, look forward to that at some point in the month. Next week, I think we'll talk about the Villainous Otome unless something else pops up. You never know.
You never know, but I mean, it fits because it's like, getting ready for Valentine's Day and all that.
Sure, that's a good point. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll try and talk about that next week unless something else decides to intervene.
Mm-hmm.